Hey, my friends, what is good? Derek here from Bomb Stocks, back with another week of Bomb Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ one bite at a time. So we are back for 5 episodes this week, back to our normal schedule for Bomb Bites. We appreciate you being patient with us over the last couple weeks. We actually took a little family vacation, and now we are back with the book of Jeremiah. And we are finishing Jeremiah about 30 to 36, and then finishing with the wonderful, instructive but sad book of Lamentations later on this week. So anyway, today I wanted to focus on a little thing from the Come Follow Me that it talks about with regards to Jeremiah. And one of the things it says is, the Lord will bring Israel out of captivity and gather them. That's kind of what we're doing on the earth right now. It says in Jeremiah 30 and 31 and then 33, the Lord acknowledged the lamentation and bitter weeping that the Israelites would experience as they went into captivity. This whole book of Jeremiah has kind of been that way. You know how we talked about last week, I did the one episode but gave you some of those activities to do from Jeremiah 1 to 20 to show you kind of what Jeremiah had to deal with. Is he's trying to share the gospel message with a group of individuals who were backsliding Israel. Probably discouraged a lot, and it was a difficult time to be able to be a missionary. And now we're dealing with Israel's captivity here. So it says, however, he also offered words of comfort and hope. What phrases in these chapters do you think would have given the Israelites consolation and hope? What promises do you find from the Lord to his people? And how might these promises apply to you today? Well, one of my favorite sections right here in the book of Jeremiah is actually in chapter 31. You start from about verse 15 through 17. And I think you're going to love these verses. I really do. So verse 15 says, "Thus saith the Lord, a voice was heard in Ramah," which the footnote actually takes you over to the book of Matthew and kind of quotes the same idea there. "Lamentation and bitter weeping. Rahel, weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children because they were not." So what that means is you've got the Babylonians who came in. The Assyrians and Babylonians both were just brutal in the way they wanted to scatter people. Now, their whole purpose in trying to conquer and be able to make their kingdom stronger was to honestly destroy the family, which sounds kind of interesting because that's exactly what Satan's trying to do as well, trying to destroy the family. But what the Babylonians would do is they would try to divide families. They would take fathers and put them somewhere. They would take mothers and put them somewhere. They would take children and put them somewhere. As you separate and divide these families, you lose that power to be able to communicate with one another. And so if you can destroy families, again, Satan's trying to do the very same thing today. So you've got in verse 15, a mother weeping for her children who are not, like it said. So she's wondering where her kids are. Verse 16, "Thus saith the Lord," which is such a cool phrase to see whenever he said, "Thus saith the Lord, refrain thy voice from weeping and thine eyes from tears. For thy work shall be rewarded, saith the Lord, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy." So here is the Lord promising, look, again, refrain thy voice from weeping and thine eyes from tears, which the Lord's not trying to say, stop crying. It's more of a, look, will you have some hope here? Your children will return. Now, maybe there's some of you that are watching this episode that are just like, maybe you have some children who have fallen away from the gospel. What a promise when it says, they shall come again from the land of their enemy. And then you get to verse 17, which might be one of the coolest phrases in the scriptures. "And there is hope in thine end." Now you click on the word "in" and it says, "for thy future." There are people out there watching this who are worried about the future, whatever it may be, especially when it comes to your family. And in the end, you got the footnote there, it gives you one of the coolest references. We didn't talk about this last week, but you got Jeremiah 29, verse 11, which if you want to have an interesting experience, go see the various translations of this. Now, the King James Version says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." What's kind of cool is you see some of the other translations of this. Like, for example, the NIV. "So there is hope for your descendants, declares the Lord. Your children will return to their own land." New Living Translation. "There is hope for your future, says the Lord. Your children will come again to their own land." Even down into the New American Standard Bible. "There is hope for your future, declares the Lord. and your children will return to their own territory. I know there's people out there that are worried. It's like your children have been basically taken captive by the world and separated you. So what the Lord is saying here, you have faith in the covenants that I have made with you, and your children will return. You're going to see that theme going throughout this whole week of these last chapters of Jeremiah and into Lamentations. Now, one of my favorite quotes to go along with this Jeremiah 31:15-17 is from President Eyring. I've mentioned this before, and I will mention this as often as I need to help provide hope out there to any maybe who have lost children, to the world or whatever it is. Look at this quote from President Eyring. It says, "A prophet of God once offered me counsel that gives me peace. I was worried that the choices of others might make it impossible for our family to be together forever. He said, 'You are worrying about the wrong problem. You just live worthy of the celestial kingdom, and the family arrangements will be more wonderful than you can imagine.'" That is hope. You want to talk about hope for your future, that your children are going to return. I love that. Now, how is it going to happen? And when is it going to happen? I don't know. I don't know how that's going to happen. I am going to trust in the Lord that can do all things. In fact, you're going to see later this week one of my favorite verses that backs that up perfectly in the book of Jeremiah. So please know that there is hope for your future. And I love that doctrine, and I know that it is true. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And thanks so much for sharing these messages. We're so grateful that you do that as always. And please go check out our amazingly comfortable gospel themed socks at bombsocks.com. You guys have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow. Godspeed. Bye-bye.